These are the new Soundcore Space One Pro, the flagship headphones from Soundcore, and this is an unsponsored review. Nobody paid me to make this. This is an honest review of my thoughts on these headphones. I say that because there are a lot of sponsored videos out there, nothing wrong with that, but I've seen comments of people asking for this video. I've been getting some requests, so here it is, I'm making this video. These are selling for $199, which is a competitive price point, but also a very busy price point. There's a lot of headphones at $199. In fact, I made a video comparing the other headphones a couple months ago at $199, and we saw a lot of trends at that price. A lot of compromises, a lot of very muddy sound, a lot of kind of mediocre headphones that weren't really that exciting, but could get the job done for a lot of users. So the question is, do the Soundcore Space One Pro actually deliver great value at that price? That's kind of what Soundcore always aims to do, is go above and beyond with the specs and the quality at a very, very low price point. Well, we're gonna find out in this video. So I wanna start off with the design of these headphones. They come in two different colors. There's a white color, as you can see right here. I also have the black color. I'll show some B-roll of that right now. But these, like, the first thing you'll notice is you can really fold the crap out of these. Like, you can just twist them down into this tiny little ball, and that's how you can travel with them. Unfortunately, in the box, there isn't a case. There's a bag they come with. You can purchase a case separately, and like you fold them down like this and put them in the case. It's a little bit bulky. Like, it's not two-dimensional, but I don't know, it gets the job done. I'm not the biggest fan of that case, and I'll talk about that in a second. But otherwise, looking at these headphones, they are adjustable on each side with a very smooth slide. Well, not very smooth, but a continuous slide with no little clicks or ratcheting into certain dimensions. So that's kind of nice for any head size. They also get absolutely gigantic. Like, I feel like I have a pretty big head, and these can get way bigger than they need to for me. In fact, I would say anyone with a small head might actually struggle. Like, these, I wear them on the smallest size. They do fold, like the ear cups twist all the way, more than all the way in and out. So they have like a really nice rotation there. Great if you want to wear them around your neck down like this or upright like that. Either way, these can twist, very well. There is a nice cushion on the ear cups as well as on the top of the headband that makes them feel, I would say, lighter than they are, even though they can be slightly bulky as a pair of headphones go. They look a little bit smaller. There's kind of an illusion there. They kind of feel lighter than they are. But when you wear them, as far as aesthetics go, they definitely do stick out fairly far. I don't know. You can leave a comment. Let me know how you think these look. I don't think they look terrible, but they do look a lot like the Soundcore Space One, which are half the price of these and are actually available in more colors than these as well. Now, with that being said, to me, these do look a little bit cheap, kind of like that matte aluminum look on the outside. It looks very clearly like plastic to me, though. However, my sister, who is not super into tech, just like walked into my house the other day and saw these and said, wow, those look really good. I want those. And so, I mean, for what it's worth, yeah, some people are going to really like these. As far as durability goes with these, there is no water resistance rating, but otherwise you can really bend them quite far. I haven't had any kind of creaking, any kind of indication that they would break from that. And like I said, the rotation in all directions means you probably don't have to worry about that hinge nearly as much either. Compared to the Space One and the Q45s, I would say these feel a little bit more solid, a little bit less likely to break in my opinion. However, as I mentioned before, they don't come with a hard case. That soft bag is a disappointment, and the case that you can buy separately, the magnet kind of sucks on it. Like, it doesn't really hold it closed very well. It doesn't close all the way, so in a backpack, other things are going to fall in the case with the headphones. And thirdly, there's nowhere to put the cables, or nowhere to put the cables and have it securely stay in there because, like I said, it doesn't close all the way. Now, I mentioned the comfort a little bit already, but kind of elaborating on that with one last comment here on the security of these, like how well do they stay on your head when you're doing things? For me, they stay on quite well. I kind of look at it at 3 different levels. So one is going to be sitting there and working or walking even. They both do, it does a great job in that environment. The second more difficult tier would be running. I went for a run with these. There's some subtle thumping you get for each stride with these headphones, but really not quite as bad as many other headphones out there. And they stayed on my head just fine here. And the third tier is going to be more dynamic workouts where your head is more inverted. Maybe you're doing burpees or anything like that, sit-ups, for example. And these, they could, because they don't have a super strong clamping force, they could fall off in that environment. But again, it depends on your head size. I would say for smaller heads, these are going to be a little bit more on the loose end. All right, now getting into a microphone test. These are the Soundcore Space One Pro microphones indoors. Honestly, from my testing with these, they were not particularly impressive. They're not terrible in quiet environments like this, where, again, I'm really enunciating my words. It's a studio, it's quiet, it's easy for microphones. But let's go to a louder environment outside, and I think you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, so this is the outdoor microphone test. There's some traffic behind me. It's really not breezy at all right now. The transparency is kind of weird. Like, I feel like I can hear the traffic better than I can hear my own voice, but let me know how the microphones perform here. Now, as far as the active noise cancellation goes with these headphones, for $200, I have to say they're quite impressive. They have what they call a 4-stage ANC system. I'm not going to get into that. A lot of that's kind of just marketing stuff, but the ANC has 5 different levels on the app. You have the ability to kind of tailor it with wind rejection and different things like that. One side note that I think is interesting is when you switch between transparency and ANC with the button on the headphones, it makes like a weird kind of doorbell sound almost. It's not really what I would expect. It's not a very pleasant sound for switching between the two, but I don't know, it does work. So the ANC, like I said, is pretty decent. It's definitely nowhere near the level of like the Sony XM5s or the Bose headphones or the AirPods Max. However, looking at this price point, the $200 price, they do a pretty good job. So looking at ANC in kind of a spectrum here, in a quiet environment, this is where a lot of headphones do struggle. They have a lot of artifacts, a lot of hissing, a lot of white noise. These don't do that. They do a great job of really keeping it silent when you're in a quiet room. Going up in volume to maybe some humming, some drumming, maybe it's like an air conditioner, an HVAC system, these block that out very, very well. Going to the very extreme then of like on a jet or any kind of really loud noise, again, these are able to block out quite a bit of noise. However, like I said, not nearly to the level that we're seeing on like the AirPods Max or the top end flagships out there. But if you get these for the ANC, I think a lot of people will not be disappointed. They certainly deliver at this price. Of course, as far as wind rejection goes, when you're outside, I'm actually very impressed by how well these are blocking wind. Like they're not reproducing it inside the headphones. That's a big win, and that also works in transparency as well. The transparency is very subtle, but very, very good. And I'm disappointed it's not a little bit louder. They have 5 different levels for transparency, but even all the way up at level 5, you really don't hear everything around you as if you didn't have the headphones on. Like they reproduce all the frequencies very well. It sounds very natural, but just quieter. It sounds quieter than I would like it. If it could just turn it up a little bit more, I think these could be quite good. There is a little bit of white noise in the transparency, but honestly, very reasonable and nothing sounds robotic. Like I said, the frequency response is very impressive. And as far as the battery life goes with these, listen to this, it's really impressive. 40 hours with ANC, 60 hours without, but the real catch is a 5-minute charge gives you 8 hours of listening. So that's an entire workday you can charge up like while you're brushing your teeth or something. They do charge with USB Type-C. There's no wireless charging or anything like that. Very typical for headphones. But speaking of the ports, USB Type-C port there, we do also have a 3.5mm port, so you can play audio through that if you wanted to. It comes with a cable in the box as well. That's nice because a lot of headphones these days, the more flagship premium ones, seem to like only putting a USB port there, and then you have to get a special cable that goes to 3.5mm on the other side, or otherwise get a dongle or something like that. As far as the other buttons go on here, we have a power button, a noise cancellation / transparency toggle button. Those are the ones on the left side. No touch controls on here though. On the right side, we have our volume up and volume down, and then we have our play pause button. The buttons do feel a little bit mushy, like they're hard to double press. I think they're not my favorite. I would like to see some touch controls on here, or otherwise just better buttons. At this price, this is kind of one of the big takeaways I had in that comparison video of the other headphones at $200. They all have weird controls. Like there's no unified way. There's no like right answer that everybody figured out. They didn't converge on one design for buttons. Everyone does it differently. This is just how they do it here. If you have gloves, that's nice. But again, tiny buttons with gloves, I don't know. They're not my favorite. As far as the sound goes on these, are they muddy? That's the big question, because all the headphones at this price are really, really bass heavy. Unfortunately, these are still bass heavy. They're nowhere near as bass heavy as the Sony headphones at this price, so that's a big win. If you like bass a lot, these certainly do deliver, and there are a lot of custom EQs in the app. Soundcore kind of does that better than anyone else is giving you a ton of different EQs that are preset. You can go through and choose the exact genre of music you like and just roll with that. These also have SVC, AAC, and LDAC codecs, so on Android phones you will be getting very high resolution audio. For headphones like this, you're just more able to see the defects in the headphones, honestly, when you have higher resolution codecs, but these do also have Dolby Atmos sound as well. The sound, it's like I said, it's a little bit more bass heavy than I would like. It does seem to sound a little bit different if you have transparency versus ANC versus neither. I'm not sure why they didn't really kind of iron that out a little better. It's a pretty noticeable difference. It's not necessarily bad on any of them, but I think most listeners will probably be happy with this. However, the bass response, like I said, is definitely very lifted. It's way too strong in my opinion. And even with adjusting with EQ, these do tend to sound a little bit muddy and definitely a bit dull. I really wish there was a little bit more clarity, a little bit more high end in here, that I could hear more of those details for some better instrument separation. I think this is kind of expected for this price point. I don't know why $200 just always gives you like muddy, dull headphones. For, compared to like $100 headphones, these are going to sound decent. Like, you're going to get better fidelity overall and higher resolution codecs, but I don't know. For me personally, I think they could be a little bit better, considering like earbuds, but there are budget earbuds for $100 that go in your ears and have substantially better sound. So on a pair of cans like this, I don't know. That's one of my biggest complaints here. As far as the features go, let me show you the app right here. There's a lot that Soundcore gives us. So in the Soundcore app, I can start off by tapping on these headphones. Of course, you see the battery level there. You can see ANC or transparency, or normal is what they call it when it's just off. And for each one, like I said, you can customize that up to 5 different levels. I don't know, even at max for both of them, they're not, I don't know, I don't see why you'd ever go any less than max. The wind reduction does a pretty decent job of rejecting more wind. If you go to the sound effects, this is what I was talking about before with the EQ. Of course, they do have their Hear ID sound, which is going to analyze your own hearing and essentially come up with a custom EQ for you based on what you're able to hear. If we tap on more, this is what I was talking about, where you do have a ton of different EQs that are preset. If you listen to like jazz or Latin music or on small speakers, okay, that doesn't make sense for this. But like spoken word, treble booster, there's a lot of EQs out there, or a custom EQ as well, which I believe is a, 9-band equalizer. So an 8-band equalizer. But if we go back, they have Easy Chat. That's going to be like Sony's Speak to Chat. I think they actually did it first, where you just start talking, it'll turn down ANC, turn on transparency, and you can talk to somebody until you're done talking, and then 5 seconds later, it'll turn your music back up and shut out the outside world a little bit more. The controls are kind of customizable, but you don't really have a lot that you can change here. Just single or double press for that button on the side, the NC button, which is your noise cancellation button, like I said. And we have safe volume controls if you wanted to have a decibel limiter so it doesn't get too loud for you. Kind of a nice little hearing control there. Now, as far as features go, there are a couple things I need to point out that you can't see within the app. One, these do have multi-point connectivity, which is great for connecting to 2 devices at once. 2, they do not have, and I have no idea why, they don't have an ear detection sensor. Like, they don't have any way of knowing when they're on your head, even though the $100 Soundcore Space One does have that. So with these, if you're listening to a podcast or an audiobook, that's kind of my favorite example here, and you take them off your head, it's just going to keep playing. It doesn't know that it's off your head, whereas most other headphones are able to detect that, especially at this price. I was really hoping to see that. I don't know what Soundcore was doing. I don't know why they cut that out. So that is a huge blow for these headphones. So in conclusion, honestly, the ANC is definitely a lot better than the rest of the Soundcore lineup. I think that and the build quality would be reasons you'd get this, but for half the price, the Soundcore Space One non-Pro really do deliver a lot similar to this. And I think if you're spending this much, you might want to consider spending an extra $40 or $50 and see if you can find an older version of like the Sony XM4s, for example, XM5s, if you can find those. I think the flagship headphones are going to deliver better sound quality, in my opinion, or at least better capabilities for a more balanced EQ. However, these, on a budget, if you're a Soundcore fan, I think these are going to deliver something that you might like. But again, $200 is a very crowded space. There are a lot of trade-offs, and I recommend watching my comparison between the best headphones under $200. I made that before these came out, but watch that for reference to see what else is on the market at this price, what the other controls look like, the other active noise cancellation qualities, different things like that. I think it's a tough decision to make at this price, but I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in that comparison.